These three artworks are focused on the indefinite detention of Mexican residents with Japanese heritage during World War II, right? Which is something we sort of know. And the specific focus is on the use of voice to evoke the complexity of the relationship between identity and territory. So these are the three works that I've created, in which I will reflect on what is the role that voice has in conveying their poetics. And I find two aspects. One, the use of voice as sound and how I use the sound, and voice as a matter in which you select as a manner of speech. So the selection of words and how you organize them to express something which is different than the sound. And then I'm just going to explain roughly the voice component, and then I'm going to show you the artwork so that you have that in mind, right? So outside in Exile at Home is an installation where 4 films are being torn apart and spread within the projection room in aiming to evoke what it was to be displaced. So when the incident of Pearl Harbor happened, I'm focusing on the side of Mexico, what happened in Mexico. Mexico was forced to remove all the residents of all Mexican citizens of Japanese heritage, to remove them from the northern border. And their belongings were confiscated. And so the installation is meant to evoke that experience, right? So I'm working with 4 different films, and maybe it's better if I moved and then come back to this so that you get to see it. Okay, no. This is it. So the way that it works, there are 4 films, and they are dismembered, and you have the images of the 4 films, but just the borders, so the real content of it is not there. And then you have the subtitles of all the films, but they're not with their own film anymore, so you're destructing the film, basically. And then you have the sound in another, and headphones, so that is being dismembered. Sorry. This is a historical background that is basically when the incident happened, it was decided that Americans or any citizen that had Japanese heritage was a potential traitor. But coming from studies in data and data analytics, as we are here in this Digital Humanities Symposium, then you think, how can that be how can such a big decision would be decided on just a single data point? Because that is what it amounts. And it is an important thing to consider and to be alarmed about, because that is still a data point being used. Like in 2020, many American Iranians were detained in the border between Canada and US when they were coming back home from holidays, just because they had Iranian heritage, and the US had killed an important leader, and then that was a reason to detain them. So they are not as American, and that is decided on one data point. So that is just to depict that it is still a criteria that is in use. This is the way to go back? Yeah. So coming back to that, I showed you the idea of the installation, and this is what is going on with voice. And then I'm going to play a video so that you see, so that you listen to what the voice is doing in the installation. But I chose 4 films to tear them down, as you saw in the shape. And one film is Animas Trujano, The Important Man. And it's a Mexican film, and it's very important for Mexico film history. And it's Ismael Rodriguez director, and it's based in a book. And the actor playing it is Toshio Mifune. But Toshio Mifune in that film totally embodies the Mexicanness of a person in Oaxaca, and he speaks Spanish for the film. He learns because he's an actor, and that's his skill. So he is actually a Japanese representing Mexican character, embodying Mexicanness in that film. And you hear him speaking beautiful Spanish, but he's not Mexican, right? I'm Mexican, and I listen to it, and I hear it flawless, so it's just to play with those ideas. In the other film that I tear apart, it's the same actor, which is a very emblematic actor in Japanese film, Toshio Mifune, but playing the role of a doctor in The Quiet Duel by Akira Kurosawa, which is a very important director. And that's a 1949 film. So the films are also around the period that we are interested in. So you hear him embodying Japanese-ness with his voice and with all his acting, and him embodying Mexican-ness. Another thing so making this kind of relative, right? Another thing that it's important is that there's always, in the tearing apart, some that belong and some that don't. And the most obvious shape of that is the center of the film is not there, right? We are left with just this outskirts. But then we have, from the 4 films, 3 that are black and white and 1 is in color. 3 that are Japanese productions and 1 that is Mexican. So it's always playing with the elements in a way that 1 is being left out or 1 is singled out. But regarding the voice, so we have the same actor voicing. Now, when you hear the installation, you hear Mexican being spoken. The film has many characters, so you hear many voices speaking Spanish, and at other moments you hear many voices speaking Japanese because of the soundtracks, right? So there's an accent and a manner being present. And then there's the way the words are structured. But you have to think that the film is dismembered. So you encounter the sound, but don't know to which image belongs. And you encounter the subtitles of the film, but you don't know to which film they belong. But they have embedded the script of the writers that was meant for that movie. So those subtitles are the voice of the writer, his own style. And those writers belong to a tradition, right? So one of the movies is from a book by Kobo Abe, who is a very important Japanese writer, and so on and so. So you get the idea how we have a voice that is constructed by Japanese writers and a voice that is constructed by a Japanese voice and a Mexican one, and that is being dismembered, right? Was that clear? And then the plots also have their own thing going on. So Animas Trujano is a movie where he's fighting to be patron of a community, to earn patron of a religious festivity, to earn the respect. I think I have to be more quick. But so you got the idea. There's the voice in that one, and the next one is an installation where that came to be because there's many Japanese heritage doctors in Morelos, because when the order was given to remove the citizens from the north, many of those were doctors because in 1917, Mexico signed a bilateral agreement with Japan to receive doctors as workers in Mexico. And so then when Pearl Harbor happens, there's a lot of them, and their belongings were confiscated, so when the World War finishes, they don't really have the means to go back. And so you have those doctors. But in Morelos, when we lived the pandemic, people were scared as anyone else. And they were discriminating doctors. People were being aggressive against doctors or anyone with doctor clothing, because they were like, you have the virus, don't come near me. I can get sick if you. So there was a heavy discrimination to those in that field. So that's when I made Senninbari, which is an amulet, and it has a Japanese structure. We'll go through that, but first, what's happening in that, to be really fast, is that I worked with synthetic voices. So you have synthetic voices of Japanese that are created with AI, right? Or with algorithmically created, to not have an accent from a region. So they've been created like that. And so I have those voices, but then I have Japanese literature where doctor is being expressed. So meaning there's a character doctor, or a doctor is being mentioned, or in the sentence, the doctor appears in Japanese literature. But I have that translated to Spanish by human translators that, when you translate a book, a really fine piece of translation. And then that fine piece of translation in Spanish, I put it to AI translation to Japanese. So, and then the voice voices it in Japanese with no accent. But what you have is a structural accent of the way the words broke that Japanese idea, because it goes from Japanese original to very careful Spanish to then machine learning back to Japanese. So there's a sort of a trace of Spanish structure left there, right? And it's all to convey that idea. I'll show you that fast. That is the monument, that is the amulet, and sorry, I'm gonna really move fast through this. Those are so that is it's just the place where it's important that should play automatically, but maybe it's not. Okay, so we'll just move. That is an amulet that's called Senninbari, that is for Japanese people during the World War II. Each stitch was stitched by a different woman, and that's 1,000 stitches. So the amulet I made has 1,000 names are being invoked, right? When you talk about an amulet, you invoke with words, either written or the voice has the power to by pronouncing. And you have, it's basically there are three entities in each piece there. One is a doctor that is actually currently working in the north, and they're all females because they're underrepresented. And then you have the fragment of literature written by an artist, I'll wrap it up, written by a writer, a famous Japanese writer that you could see in the corner. And then you have the name of the person that is a doctor and was removed from the north in that era. And that would be a projection that was projected in this very important place in Morelos, there, where you hand in your coat in the theater, and the projection would last 1 minute. So it fades in and fades out, and it gives you time to read to read the literature fragment and you listen to the Japanese voice, and I don't have time to play the video, but I hope you got the idea of how I use artificial intelligence with human voice and literature.